just with like every sports YouTuber on the planet, I will be giving my 2023-2024 NFL playoff predictions. I will be going over the wild card rounds, the divisional round, the conference championships, and the Super Bowl. And I have no idea who's going to win. And with the first matchup in the AFC side, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Buffalo Bills. This game is a game of should be a game of dominance for the Buffalo Bills. The Steelers are starting with Mason Rudolph. They are also without TJ Watt playing. The Bills have been on a comeback tour, I say, going from 7-6 in the middle of the season to now the number 2 seed and winning the AFC East, defeating the Dolphins last week. This game should be a good one. I'm also predicting that it's either going to be a flop between a good game and the Steelers play either spoiler or get the Bills trouble, or the Bills just destroy them. That's why I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. Take the dub here. It's playing in Orchard Park. The snow is going to be wild, and it's going to be a good time. Moving on to the next game, we got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. This game's also going to be played in 0-degree weather. Dolphins are usually not fans of the cold. Chiefs are. This also has storyline written on it. This is a Tyreek Hill revenge game. Chiefs, both of these teams this year have been mid, I would say. Dolphins not having beating someone with a winning record over 500. Only have one win over that. Chiefs have been, their entire offense has been putrid. Wide receivers can't catch. The defense has really stepped up for them in the last few weeks. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Miami Dolphins. I think the cold is just going to be too much for the Miami Dolphins. And I would say earlier in the year, that was their year, but not anymore. Moving on to the last AFC wildcard game, we got the Cleveland Browns taking on the Houston Texans. This game, people are saying, is the blowout game. I disagree. I think this is going to be a close matchup between CJ Stroud and that Cleveland Browns defense. Joe Flacco, the elite Joe Flacco. This game is really going to depend on how CJ Stroud plays in the big games. But I think that Browns defense is going to be way too much. I'm going to pick the Cleveland Browns to beat the Houston Texans. Moving on to the divisional round. Moving on to the NFC side, we got another storyline of a game. We got the Green Bay Packers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Packers are notorious for beating the Cowboys in the playoffs year after year after year. But there's a new man at the regime for the Packers, Jordan Love, who has been playing phenomenal, better than what anyone predicted. People predicting that he's going to be the worst team in the NFC North. Yeah, that's not the case. They find themselves in the 7th seed, facing the Cowboys. And the Cowboys are they should be a dominant team, but week after week, they keep showing signs of weakness. Not last week, they beat the Commanders. Pretty good. Forgot to score with that game. But I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers taking on beating the Dallas Cowboys. I think that Jordan Love is going to play spoiler here. I think that if they run the ball, they will beat the Dallas Cowboys. Moving on to the next wildcard game. We got another storyline of the game. Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams return to Detroit. Take on the Detroit Lions. This should be a wild game. This is the Sunday night football game. This is the perfect game for that type of atmosphere. Detroit's going to be rocking. Detroit's going to be loud. Stafford and that offense should do good against the Detroit Lions defense. And the Detroit Lions offense should do well against the Rams defense. This game is an offensive battle. But I'm going to go with the LA Rams to beat the Detroit Lions and play spoiler. I would love for the Detroit Lions to beat the Rams. I don't think that's happening. I think the Rams offense is going to be way too much. I think Stafford comes back to his home and stabs the Lions fans in the heart. Moving on to a game that if you asked me about a couple weeks ago, I would say, yeah, this is not a close game at all. We got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is mid. Both of these teams are pretty decent. Just kidding. The Eagles are absolutely atrocious right now. They need to figure their shit out. I have no idea what happened to that dominant Eagles team. Bucks, they're playing with swag. Baker Mayfield, arguably comeback player of the year if you depend on if you pick DeMar Hamlin or Joe Flacco. This should be a close game. If the Eagles show up like they did a couple weeks ago, Bucks are winning. If they show up like they did months ago, the Eagles should dominate. But I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. It's being played in Tampa. I have not seen anything from the Philadelphia Eagles to grant that they are worthy of a wild card win. But I wouldn't be shocked if they do win this game against Tampa Bay. But I'm going to go ahead and pick the Buccaneers. Moving back to the AFC divisional round, we have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Baltimore Ravens. This storyline again, Joe Flacco returning to Baltimore. And yeah, this is going to be that game. Baltimore's offense could run the ball all over the Browns defense. I don't think that's going to happen. Browns offense is really going to have to step up against that Ravens defense. This is a defensive battle. I will not be surprised if this game is a score of 10-3. But I'm going to go with the better defense here. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns beating the Baltimore Ravens. I think that Browns defense is just a little bit better than the Baltimore Ravens defense. And hey, I picked the Browns because the Ravens have not shown me in the last few years if they can win in the playoffs. But they can prove me wrong. Moving on to the last division round, we have another rivalry game. We got the Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes taking on the Buffalo Bills. I can't believe I just said Mahomes. This game is going to be played in Orchard Park, not in Arrowhead. And this is the game where all eyes are on it. All eyes are on it. Rivalry, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. We saw this game earlier in the year with Bills defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think this is the game where Josh Allen finally gets it done. I got the Buffalo Bills defeating the Cleveland Browns. Not Cleveland Browns. I have the Buffalo Bills defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. And moving the record to the AFC conference game against Cleveland. I think the Mahomes receivers are not going to do well against that Bills defense. But Kansas City tend to play spoiler and always proves me wrong. Moving on to the NFC playoffs, divisional playoffs, we have the Green Bay Packers taking on the San Francisco 49ers. I love the story that you're giving. I love that you're on this miracle run. But that ends today. I got the San Francisco 49ers beating the Green Bay Packers. It would be funny if the Packers going to San Fran beat them as they've done. Flip-flop that San Fran has beaten Green Bay in Lambeau a couple years ago. But not happening. I got the San Francisco 49ers beating the Green Bay Packers. And Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers offense rocks. And then the last divisional game for the NFC, we got the LA Rams taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yeah, I'm going to go with the LA Rams to beat the Buccaneers. I think that the Buccaneers are not going to put as much points as the LA Rams. But this is also the defensive game. I don't know how the Bucs defense has been the last few weeks. I haven't really been paying attention to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because the NFC South has sucked. But both my conference championship games are Cleveland Browns, Buffalo Bills, and then the NFC, LA Rams versus the San Francisco 49ers. And speaking of San Francisco 49ers, my NFC conference game is the LA Rams taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, this is a rivalry game as well. Both in the divisional conference championships. We see them play every year, twice a year. And I have the San Francisco 49ers taking down the LA Rams and moving on to the Super Bowl. I think that the San Francisco 49ers offense finally gets it done. Their defense stops Matthew Stafford, puts pressure on him, and moves on to the Super Bowl. And then the AFC Championship game, you have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to play spoiler here. I think this is going to be a notorious game. Both defenses are great. Offenses or whatever, if Josh Allen turns into the Josh Allen we know, can shine. can shine, but he can also be Tua and turn the ball over. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Cleveland Browns to beat the Buffalo Bills and move on to the Super Bowl. I think this is going to be a wild game. It's playing at Orchard Park. It's most likely going to snow. And I cannot wait for that game. And then my Super Bowl prediction. Mine, the Cleveland Browns taking on the San Francisco 49ers. And this game is defense. This is just defense. Put the pressure on the quarterback. Not let the wide receivers catch the ball. And Joe Flacco returns back to the Super Bowl. Is he a Hall of Famer? We don't know. Brock Purdy in his first ever Super Bowl. Will he win it? I think he does. I have the San Francisco 49ers beating the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl to take their 6th Super Bowl championship. And Cleveland, you make a Super Bowl, but you don't win it. I think the storyline and the storybook ending comes to an end for the Cleveland Browns. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure to follow me on all social media links down below. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a good playoffs. I will see you guys later. Have a good night.